Happy hump day. We are here with the Printing United Power Hour, which means my fantastic and powerful co-host, Ashley Roberts, the content director from Printing Impressions, is here magically on the screen. There you are. How are you today?
I'm doing well on this Wednesday. How are you?
On this wide format Wednesday.
Format Wednesday. I know a little alliteration is my favorite type of thing.
We love alliteration. Okay. Why don't you tee us up for wide format Wednesday, and then we'll start bringing guests on.
Sure. Okay. So for those who have tuned in earlier this week, you know that every day is a different segment for the Power Hour. So today is wide format Wednesday. And we have a few guests joining us. In the past few years, we've introduced, I don't know, I think maybe it actually might even be 9 years. We introduced the wide format brand to the Alliance Media Brands. And it has been such an incredible segment to highlight because it is so, I think yesterday we talked about, for the commercial space, how many people are expanding into wide format. And then, of course, there are so many wide format specific printers. So it really was a segment that needed its own support and its own brand. And we have an incredible content director, Dan Marx, who's going to be joining us. And he can introduce himself, but I know he's been in the industry for a few years. So let's welcome on Dan.
Dan the man. Where's Dan the man? I know he's here. There he is.
I'm right here.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. So I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone. How long have you been in the industry and, covering the wide format space, like kind of your history real quick.
Sure. Dan Marx. I am content director for Wide Format Impressions. I have been in the industry a good long time. I started with what was at the time called the Screen Printing Association International in 1991. So that was my entry into the industry. I think one of the most interesting things probably about that trajectory is that is just about the time when we started seeing the very first wide format printers coming out. So when you talk about this evolution of technology, I feel like I've witnessed it from start to not finish, but to what it is right now. And it has become so expansive and diverse.
Yeah. And you, so you took over as content director of wide format impressions a few years ago, right?
A couple of years ago. Yes.
A couple of years ago. Okay. So I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. For the expo, so wide format's going to be your kind of focus for this year's
Sure.
expo. What are some of the things that you are looking forward to exploring when you get to Vegas?
Well, I think technology-wise, I think we were at our recent wide format summit, and we had a couple different panels talking about sort of higher value printing. Wide format has gotten more competitive. The fact you can make a big print is no longer a novelty to anyone. So how do you charge a higher margin? How do you exact more revenue, hopefully more profit out of the work you do? And some companies are looking at higher value printing, which includes things like texture or expanded color sets, other things that could include, drawing a blank.
Cool
Braille.
stuff.
People are getting a lot of interest in Braille, and then also things that sort of transcend printing. We have a lot of companies who are getting into fabrication, which is they're taking those printed elements and they're building things, in many cases custom things that are for retail settings or corporate settings or events, and those things bring a high margin, but they require more expertise, more knowledge. And, the last thing I would mention there is installation. For years, I've been saying that, the wide format printer, the device, only produces a print. Producing a product is what people in this industry are doing. So a lot of times there's finishing, there's installation, there are other steps that need to be done to deliver the product as needed.
Yeah, and I like, sorry, Deb, if I cut you off. Just real quick, I was going to say, I like how you specifically pointed to the expertise needed, because that was something we talked about yesterday, which is, this idea of convergence and, looking at the commercial printing space and how many commercial printers are expanding into wide format, investing in wide format technology and offering some of that to their customers. That doesn't necessarily make them a wide format printer, someone that you can go to, for that expertise, or get something that's maybe a little bit more high value, like you mentioned, Braille or embellishments. So, with that idea of convergence in mind and people moving into that segment, what is really going to be the differentiator moving forward? Is it that high value work? What is really setting the wide format printers apart as a great partner for that segment?
Yeah, I love this question because it's something I enjoy talking about. We published just recently, it just hit my mailbox yesterday, our wide format 150 list, which is the list of the 150 largest wide format producers in the US and Canada. It's a fascinating list to look at, and there are a lot of well-known companies on there. I don't know the exact figure, but I'll use a technical term. There are a boatload of commercial printing companies there that, the wide format business they do, maybe 10, 15% of what they do of their total revenue, but they're doing a lot of wide format print. And that's a great thing. They've seen an opportunity. They've gone there. They've found a way to engage their customers in new and different ways. And, get those golden handcuffs, I guess, on the customers. But I think the differentiator you talk about is the fact that people who are deeply immersed in wide format become highly educated problem solvers. One of the panels at the Wide Format Summit, where we talked about fabrication, installation, those types of challenges, is we had companies on the stage there that say, our job is to take someone's vision and make it into a real thing. It's not, our job is to do 10 signs for a conference that my commercial printing customer, we did the brochures and the marketing materials for it. They have become problem solvers who use their knowledge not only of the printing step, but also deep knowledge of materials, deep knowledge of finishing technologies, techniques. When you get into fabrication, you're doing some cases metalwork, woodworking, welding, plastic molding, all kinds of crazy stuff. And that just is part of being that company to say, if you have a vision, we can fulfill that. And that is the huge differentiator. And I think, from an expo standpoint, I would say that's the hook for wide format producers should come to Printing United Expo. Every year, there are changes, new developments in technology, and all of those new developments are new opportunities for people to explore and to take advantage of if it fits within the goals of their business. So, I yesterday actually was going through our new product guide that will be part of the materials that Expo attendees see when they arrive in Las Vegas. And, there are over 100 what I would call important new technologies that are going to be launched either for the first time or making their U.S. debut at Printing United Expo. And those are just the things we know about, right? There are a lot of new technologies that are under embargo that aren't really talked about until the show opens. And then the press release comes and, bells and whistles go off. So, to be in that place at that time when those new opportunities come in, that's, it's like getting a free view into the future, just a little bit.
I like that.
Yes, Deb.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So, Dan, I've known you since your SGIA days, which is where Printing United transformed into. And at that time, you were also a content director. You put together the education. I know that Denise is coming on to speak about that.
Sure.
But because you are the man in the know, and
Hmm.
because this morning Pat McGrew said that wide format is one of the best opportunities for printers to grow their business, what should the first time explorers of this segment be focused on, as far as asking, questions to ask?
Yep. Well, I'll start with just a comparison. But if you're going to jump into a swimming pool, step one is to make sure there's water in the pool, right? So if somebody is looking at getting into the wide format space or expanding from doing, basic wide format jobs to getting into something more specialized and higher value, developing that understanding not only of the technologies, but the techniques, the opportunities, the markets really requires educating yourself. And the Expo has a vast offering of educational sessions. We have some focusing on color management, on quality. We have one panel I'll be moderating on higher value printing approaches, which we've talked about already this morning. So taking time before the Expo to look through that schedule of educational offerings and say, you know what, my business needs that, or I don't know how to sell this product. How do I do that? Because that's really where you extract the value. I think that it can be tragic when you talk to companies who are busy, 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 but not profitable. And part of that is not understanding the pricing, the sales, how to take advantage of opportunities and to turn that into really good habits. So that is one thing. I would also say I want to give a shout out to our PDAA, Professional Decal Application Alliance Installation Zone. We have it every year. We've had it for quite a few years, but that's a great opportunity if you're looking into getting into vehicle wraps, wall graphics, things that require pressure sensitive adhesive. That is an opportunity where you have trained professional installers in that area. They have vinyl you can use. They have presentations that are being done by some of the different vinyl OEMs, and you can get your hands on some vinyl and really try it out. Because as somebody who has struggled through trying to wrap the hood of a car while professional installers are looking at me, I know the stress of doing it right and how hard that skill is. So, so just to build on that, like, get the knowledge you can. I will also say you have a massive, massive trade show floor with 25,000, what I would call industry experts. Everybody has a story. Everybody has expertise. Talk to them, introduce yourself, say, what do you do? How is your business growing? That's how you extract the knowledge you need at the Expo.
Yeah, cool. I mean, just with my print buyer brain,
Sure.
if I was to answer my own question, I would say, if you're going to look into, entering this segment, to look at the machines that offer you as much versatility as possible through substrates. A different substrate is a new business. So
Yep.
if you probably at this point, table stakes are vinyl banners and things of that nature. But, keep in mind also that you can make a lot of little things on wide format presses if you have, I call them the cutty things, the lasers
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So, look at, don't just look at what you want to do now, but look at, to your point about looking into the future.
Yep.
Who in the world doesn't have a branded Yeti cup at this point? And they're only getting more and more, popular. And you can do that on wide format devices with the right configuration.
Sure. Absolutely. And,
Or at least the vendors that sell wide format also sell the other devices that help you do things that often go with wide format. An opening of a business, what do they need?
Yeah.
So if you're doing the menus or for a restaurant or something, hey, do you need we're coming in 2 weeks, a new Italian restaurant? Like, you can really start educating your own customers about things they are definitely getting from somewhere else and not from you. And that is a quote from Dan Johansson that I use all the time. Like, they might not be buying wide format from you, but they're buying it from somebody. So ask them. Ask them what else they're getting from other people. Ashley, I'll turn your session back over to you.
So I do have no. I think I love what you were. I was just enjoying listening. So I do have another question, Dan. Quickly. You know, I go into the expo with a plan to walk around the show floor, talk to people, kind of get the lay of the land, look for, I'm very into embellishments and new technologies that enable embellishments. And so I kind of keep my eye out for new exciting things. I maybe check out some educational sessions, meet with people. What is your game plan? What are you doing when you get there? Like, where do you go first? What do you want to do?
Ashley, you will understand that Expo is a busy time for us. There are a lot of appointments we have and, technology demonstrations and other things that we need to go to, but there is other time. I try, and I mean that in the Yoda sense, which is there is no try, there's only do, which means...
Excuse me, that's my mantra. Do or do not. There is no try.
That is true. Okay. With that, I endeavor to find time to walk down every aisle of the expo, because every year there's few technologies you walk by. First thought might be like, what is that? What does that do? Or, wow, that's a huge expansion on a concept I've never thought of before. So give time to do that, because I think today's novelties are the next year's mainstream in some cases as technology moves so quickly. I did want to go back to expanding just on Deborah's comments there. Going in with wide format is understanding wide format, and people think, oh, I'll make banners, I'll make posters, but there's been huge growth in we'll call it the sticker market. Pressure sensitive decals. This sort of online fulfillment of decals has exploded. And a lot of the companies doing that are using wide format technology, both for the color, for the durability, but also to do things like embellishment, like texture. So that's an interesting area people are going into. Deborah, you talked about the sort of the Yeti cup or bottle. The use of wide format technologies as entree into producing promotional products is continuing to expand. And the number of and diversity of printers out there is giving people more and more opportunities. One last lesson before we wrap it up is the fact that when you're looking at a technology, don't buy the machine just because it's cool. Buy it because you're going to make a product that can produce. So the product should define the technology.
Love it.
Yeah, great advice. Well, Dan, thank you so much for kicking off our Wide Format Wednesday. I'm very excited to see, the wide format space, of course, for me is also very interesting. So I'm super excited as well. And I love some of the advice you gave. So appreciate you joining us.
Thanks,
right.
Dan.
See you in Las Vegas.
See you in Vegas.
See ya. All right.
Is Lady Gustavson is here.
Yes. So Denise is back today. She is the Vice President of Editorial and Content Strategy at the Alliance, and she is the leader in all things education. So we wanted to bring her back today and the next few days to talk through education. And maybe today we can talk a little bit more specifically about the wide format space and what people can expect there. So Denise, welcome on.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone.
So Denise, welcome back. Great to have you here. And if you want to give just a 30-second, what you do at the Alliance and how you're involved with the education program at the Expo for those who are joining us new today.
Sure. So I am Denise Gustavson. I am Vice President of Editorial and Content Strategy for Printing United Alliance. So all of the content and magazines that you see from the Alliance are all under my purview. So wide formats, this is Wide Format Wednesday, is one of those. And actually, it was one of the books, the publications that I started when I came over to NAPCO and the Alliance. So it's near and dear to my heart, of course. this side of the industry. So as part of the expo, I help to program all of the expo education. Since that kind of rolls under the education and editorial tasks that we kind of do on our side of things.
Yeah. And you also do, for anyone who was listening yesterday, I think we talked a little bit about the guide. You also lead out on the guide,
Yes.
which everyone who attends will be able to pick up on the show floor. And there is, before we get into the education bit, I'm just going to ask you a little bit about this. So the guide has, a map. It has the quick information that people need. It has product information. So people in any segment, but also wide format segment, can look at the guide and see, maybe some of the new technology or showcase technology that's on the show floor. So I know a lot goes into pulling that together, right?
Yes, it's working with all, nearly 800 exhibitors, trying to pull what all the information is that they're going to be showcasing. And we try to highlight products, especially that have been released since the last Printing United. So after Printing United last year, what's brand new to the market? And honestly, this year we have a number of products that are releasing the week before or the week of Expo. So there's a bunch of stuff that I can't talk about because I've signed way too many NDAs about new products that are going to be on the show floor, and a number of them are in the wide format space. So please, please, please make sure you go and check it out. There's some great new products coming out. I'm very eager to see it as well.
Yeah, it's exciting. Okay, so the education space. I know there is a lot of sessions that are dedicated to wide format. I think,
can I just say, Amanda put a bunch of them in the chat for this too.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda.
Yay.
So could you maybe talk us through some of the sessions, and then maybe we can talk about kind of how you whittle down, because I'm sure a lot of, proposals come in, but we kind of have to keep it to a set number. So
yeah, we only have so many spaces.
Yeah.
So we do have to whittle it down. And I use the staff at the Alliance, our editorial team, and also those involved with iLearning to take a look at what comes in. And I try to actually do it as a blind entry. So most of the time when I'm actually giving people topics, they don't know who the speaker is. So they'll just know the topic and the description, what the takeaways are going to be. So that way we're really judging it more on what is the value of the education session, not necessarily on the speaker themselves. Because sometimes we might have a preconceived notion about a speaker that, we really like them, or, I don't know if I want them, or I've seen them, at other things. Maybe I want somebody new, or I don't know this person. It kind of takes all of that out. So, it's kind of blind. So we kind of go through that whole process early in the year and work through getting all of our sessions done. This year, we have a lot of sessions that apply universally throughout the printing industry. So there's a lot of stuff on M&A. There's a lot of stuff on pricing, compensation, kind of also states of the industry for various segments. There's a lot of things about DTF, which is a huge, huge thing about apparel, which we'll be able to talk about later in the week. But again, there's some really, really good nuggets that apply to a lot of people. We do have some stuff that is wide format specific. Dan, who was just on, is going to be doing a session talking about, actually, what is his exact session title? And I can pull that up. It is Stretching the Boundaries in Wide Format Services is what he's doing on September 24th. So it's going to be a panel discussion about, how as a wide format provider, how can you stretch a little bit to get into, maybe it's another market, or is it another application within the wide format market that you're not necessarily doing? Huge thing for a lot of companies now is fabrication. So are you doing the banners? Are you doing some of those things? But how about fabricating the frames? So now you're just continuing to replace the graphics, and the frames are already there, that you don't have to worry about, doing them multiple times. So really interesting ways that you can look at the wide format market and other ways that you can get into it. But when I was actually thinking about talking about the education sessions, if I'm a wide format provider, what would I do? Obviously, the show floor is huge. You want to go and explore all the new technologies that are there. But there are some sessions, so I kind of walk through some of them. So on the first day of the show, first thing, 10 a.m., I want to go sit and see Andy Paparosi and Onamika Dahar. They're going to do the printing industry outlook for 2027. So this is really a forward looking. So what are we looking for next year? Really something to kind of set the stage too. So even if that's the only thing you do in the education sessions, that's going to give you a great background. So that way, once you are armed with the information they have, you can go out on the show floor. Then, if I was staying in education at 11, I would actually go and take a look at the G7 Without Borders session that Ray Weiss is doing, who's part of Printing United Alliance, talking about how this global standard is really changing print and how print is done. At noon, I would actually go see Aaron Montgomery, the ideal customer blueprint, how print shops increase profit by serving the right buyers. Again, something everybody's interested in is how do I get the right people? How do I make sure that I am talking to the right people and selling to the right people? Then Nathan at 1 o'clock is going to be talking about AI in print, fact versus fiction, and where to start. So that's one of the things that I think that a lot of people are concerned about. They hear so much about, are they going to be vibe coding? Are we going to be doing some generative AI? What are we using AI for? So really breaking down some of the research. So what print shops are actually doing about AI, how they're using it, where they're using it effectively, and where they're really not. So again, some really great insights from the research team as to what printers, like all of the folks that are going to be attending the show, are doing. Follow number 2, I would say Beyond Ink, Real World Lessons from Printers Selling Promo by Teresa Hagel from ASI. So obviously we have an ASI pavilion, and ASI is going to be presenting a number of sessions over the course of our show. But this one specifically, and Dan touched on it earlier, is that, promo is something that's really within reach for a lot of folks. So this is a good option to take a look at, is like, how can you actually start selling promo as a wide format printer? So really, really good to start looking at. At 3, I would turn it back over to our research team for Lisa Cross and Nathan Safran talking about convergence, how convergence is shaping our print markets. Again, really good information about how, honestly, people are living in everybody's back pocket. So how do you move into other areas where people are coming into? A lot of people are coming into wide format. So for those that are doing wide format or niched in wide format, how do you even combat that? Because that's really something you want to be aware of. And then Wendy Graves, who is also, I believe, one of our all-stars, is going to be finishing up the day at 4 p.m. talking about the human advantage, what AI can't teach you about graphics and signage. So for the first day, I mean, that's a lot of packed sessions for the first day of the expo.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you, the Wendy session in particular, so we just did a webinar last week, and Andy was the main speaker, but then we had a panel of speakers who joined, and we're asking them questions. And that was one of the questions that kept coming up, which is, working AI into your workflow, but how do you keep that human component and the human in the loop component? And then also, not lose that human touch, especially when it comes to things like customer service. A lot of people, some people on the panel were sharing stories, like personal stories of working with other companies where they were trying to get through to the customer service and they realized it was an AI avatar speaking to them. And they were like, no, I want to speak to a human. Like, I'm having an actual current issue. So that in particular sounds like a really interesting thing as we kind of grapple with these AI situations that come up and the human component.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just heard an experience of a company that had sent out an email from their sales department, didn't actually check it before they sent it out, and there was, curse words in it, and there was actually, misspellings of their own product names in it. So it was just like, you need to have that you need to have, like they say, it's humans in the loop. So HIL, humans in the loop, making sure that they're actually having that.
This is not printing industry specific, but I just saw a news report of a school district in, I think, Kentucky. Maybe. I don't want to, maybe not. Don't quote me on it. But they gave out in a state, and they gave out, it wasn't Pennsylvania, I know that. gave out agendas to all the students, and everything was created with AI. And you should look it up. The states in the map are
They were
gobbledygook.
wrong. Yeah.
All the states, the periodic table was
Yeah.
gobbledygook. Everything was, and we were talking about it here in my house, and we were like, how did that happen? I'm like, someone just trusted AI to do the work and did not look it over, obviously, because it was they were showing pictures of it on the news, and it's like, how could you? But you have to have a human in the loop at some point to kind of cross-check.
Did you see the one? It was either a magazine or a newspaper, and they published the prompt for AI in the article.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or last year was also that story of a newspaper that had published like the hot books of the summer or whatever, and they were made up
fake.
books. They were
and more lawyers keep getting thrown out of court because they're literally citing cases that don't
exist. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You got to do your homework in some cases. I mean, yes, you have to put the work in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good lesson. And so I will be interested in that session as well as other sessions, during the expo. So, I also, like how you said, you kind of took out some of that, information about who were the speakers in the sessions. And I was part of that process where I went through, I know you had like a survey and went through pages and pages and pages of proposed sessions.
Can I just ask a question? Mm-hmm. Because I pay attention to calls for speakers. So do they go to, is it like a alliance member call for speakers? Because I just never saw one. And
so our first round of speaker outreach goes to folks that we've used before. And then some that are in our general circle that we reach out to. If we get enough from those people, we don't go further.
I get you. Yeah.
And we had a ton. So, yeah.
I'm sure you do. That's, I'm just like, I can never get in there.
Yes, it is a hot commodity to be a speaker at the expo.
And honestly, one of the things also, at least for this year and in previous years we've done, is we don't include stuff from the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, like we said yesterday, it's not going to be a sales pitch for a vendor. If there is a vendor on a panel, it's because they're on a panel and it is moderated by somebody on staff or somebody else that is bringing that panel to bear. So if there are any, because I know actually within the CXM program, there are some speakers that are on panels, but those are actually managed by that association. Yeah. And they're actually members of the association. So they're not representing a company. They're actually representing an industry segment instead.
Yeah. Pat spoke about that this morning, the programming that's going on there. It's really cool. I like that the transactional people are coming back into the commercial print space. I mean, that is a weird group of people, by the way. Denise, something tells me you probably get along with all of them because they're very technical. But one of the things you realize if you sit with them long enough and you look around, you're like, okay, these are the people who are actually running the world. Everything, I guarantee you, things in your mailbox have come through this segment of the industry, and it is gigantic. And it is, even though they use the same equipment, there's so many regulations and volume. This is not these are not low volume people. So I just love that, they've come back in. I really wish that we could get like a printed electronics pavilion. That would be my request if you're taking requests.
We always take requests. I don't know if we can fulfill all the requests we take, but we always take requests.
I just think that is going to be like the next craze trend. Why? I mean, imagine like buying a t-shirt at a concert and it gives you the new lick from the new song or something like that. It could be really cool. Sorry.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in wearables that, that they've done for Olympics where they keep an eye on heart rate and respirations and all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Through their clothing. So
It's incredible. I think we should. I'm voting for printed electronics, and I mention that because they are really the weirdest people in the world. It's like I spoke to one for 20 minutes once, and at the end of it, I was like, okay, and I walked away. I was like, no idea what that guy said to me. None.
Just nod and say,
That's what I did. I
interesting.
nodded. I was like,
non-smile.
Can I push the button and make it light up again? Like that's what I wanted to do.
Yes, super cool. So I know, Denise, you come from kind of a wide format background, and now you lead the editorial department across all the segments. So what is your plan when you get to the expo? I'm sure you're going to be going to
ask that.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're going to be going to some of the educational sessions. But how do you approach it since you are across, you don't really have a niche segment anymore?
I was going to have a different framing. Wait, let me do my framing too.
Yeah.
Now that you're not in that room with the lunatics trying to get the show daily created and printed and delivered under hotel rooms at 6:00 in the morning, what do you do with the show?
Believe it or not, I'm just as busy. I just spend a lot more time running around versus staying in place. So interestingly, the show daily was probably one of the most rewarding experiences, honestly, that we did through my career. Like I said, I've been in the industry 28 years. I've done show dailies. So we would do a tabloid size 64-page book 3 times during the show. It was very rewarding to like get up in the morning. You have the show daily under your under your room at your hotel, and people were reading it, which was so rewarding because for us in the magazine production side of things, we don't necessarily see that. They're mailed out. People read them in their offices, maybe in their homes, on an airplane. I don't actually get to see them actually reading the publications we do. So that was actually one of the really rewarding pieces about when we were doing the show dailies. Now we do our expo guide, as we talked about earlier, which is 1 issue. And that is out first thing in the morning on the 23rd. So everybody will be able to see it. We don't do the room drops anymore. So you have to come to the convention center. So you have to be on site with us to see them. Or they are available through our ER Daily newsletter for the 3 days of the show. But for me at the show, I have a very similar strategy that Dan was talking about. So I have my top hits. So the people that I need to go see to continue to cultivate relationships with, to find out also, those folks that have new products. I want to go see the new products on the show floor. Doesn't matter what segment they're in. I want to make sure I'm seeing those new products. But I try my very best to walk up and down every aisle because I want a little bit of that serendipity. Who are the new players? What is the new stuff that's in those 10 by 10 booths that might not get as much coverage because they don't have that marketing department? They don't have a PR department, but they have some really, really innovative products and services. So that's where you kind of find those nuggets. So where can we, what's really, really cool and new and interesting that we can share with the market. So that's kind of a little bit of what I do. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be doing a lot of other things, including podcasts. We're going to be recording some podcasts on site. We're going to be recording video on site. So it's a little bit of everything throughout the day. So a lot of running, honestly.
Yeah. And you know what? I would say just like kind of as a follow-up to that, I have run into, and this is like a good problem, but also, something to plan for. I have run into the issue before where I did not make it to an entire section of the show because I got so hung up in one area or talking to certain people, and I left the 3 days regretting that I never got over there. I never got to see what was available, the new technology in that segment. Because for me in the commercial space, we do write about all, the different segments a little bit. So I would say anyone listening who just heard what Denise had to say, definitely make time to walk up and down every aisle, both halls. If it's dedicating a day or a portion of a day to doing that, because there was one year where I didn't make it at all over to the promo apparel space, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, did you see this over there and this cool thing?" And I'm like, "No, I never made it over there." So, taking time to really just at least see everything,
Yeah.
I think is important, even if you don't get to dive into every single segment.
And I just have to say that my favorite places in the trade shows are the little booths in the back.
Yep, the 10 by 10s. Yeah.
Yeah. There are just people there. Maybe they're new, or they whatever reason, they're in the back and they're in the corners, but they have really interesting things sometimes. And there are certain people back there sell like a squeegee that you need for your wide format press. And I'm always like never understanding why there's like 10 deep line of people trying to buy these things. And I spoke to a couple of printers and they were like, these are like not commonly available things, or if they are, it's some industrial purchase and they just need one little thing to tighten the screw or something like that. The other thing that I don't know what it's called, but one of the other things when I was walking around with Jamie McLennan and Will Crabtree, who are my co-hosts on the Print to Chat podcast, but they both have a wide format and everything else. Will was fascinated by this machine that mounted a banner to something in a an automated pass, and he was saying that and I was like, well, how are you doing it now? He's like, people are doing it now. So they made me stand by that machine for like 10 minutes and they were like, just look at it. Look at it go. So do you know what that is called by any chance? Or
I would have to go and see. There's a number of different automated systems now that they have for like banner welding and seaming. Miller Weldmaster is probably one of those that I would probably go to, as like they probably have it. And they usually have some kind of big piece of equipment that they're showcasing there to help seam some of those much larger banners and signs that you have to print, especially if you're going to be hanging it off a building in Vegas. Even though they're 16 feet wide, you're going to need to seam several of those to make sure that the picture shows up correctly.
Yeah, it's incredible. Ashley, your other guests have arrived.
Thank you. Yes. So Denise, I really appreciate you joining us again today. We will see you again tomorrow for more wisdom. And we are going to welcome on our next guest, Rusty Pepper, who is head of global markets and partnerships at Taylor Corporation. Rusty, please join us. We're super excited to have you here. Hi, Rusty.
Oh, hi,
How are we
Rusty.
doing? Hello.
Doing well. Doing well.
Peppercorn.
Peppercorn, bring it.
Hashtag peppercorn.
Yes, I love that. You should start a band.
We should start the Peppercorn podcast is
Or
what
the
we really
Peppercorn
should.
podcast. Yeah,
should.
absolutely.
There we go.
Love it.
Peppercorn on print. Ooh, look at me
Yeah.
branding.
There you go. Branded. You gotta get branded merchandise to go with it. So Rusty, can you just give us a quick introduction of yourself, what you do, and also the fact that you're an all-star this year?
Yes, that was a nice acknowledgement, which is pretty cool. So Rusty Pepper, I'm head of global markets partnerships at Taylor. For those that don't know who Taylor is, we joke we're like the largest company nobody's ever heard of. We're a $2.5 billion privately held company with 10,000 plus employees and 90.
Who hasn't heard of
Well,
Taylor?
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of folks. It's crazy. Yeah. So I focus on print on demand. That's kind of really been my area of focus. And I'm out there evangelizing and helping people understand across the ecosystem what this amazing product offering and service can provide all of us across print, promo, imaging, photo, all the different growing areas of the market. So
Great.
that's me in a nutshell. I'm really a glorified door kicker at the end of the day. That's really kind of what I am.
So it sounds like with kind of your area of expertise, the Expo is a great place to go for inspiration, for partnerships, for relationships with people. So what, how did you get involved with the All-Stars, and what's your game plan this year as an All-Star at the Expo?
Well, first of all, they invited me, which was that was kind of my involvement there, and which was nice. So really, I'm actually speaking. I've got one talk track where we're talking about the evolving marketing supply chain I'll be supporting all the different events. We're really trying to get the folks that are really involved in print on demand, even in the international markets, bringing them into the market here, bring them into Printing United, give them exposure to the U.S. market, the different providers out there, how they can actually move their business into the U.S. market easier. And that's really where we're focused on. But I'm super pumped for Printing United. I have talked to very few people that are not going to be there this year, which is really, really exciting. I think last year, as in Orlando, I think they did an amazing job. It was the best one I've been to. I really love the uh, partnership that still with ASI, because it's brought in the whole promo and apparel side of the market into it, which is really, I think, create a lot more energy and buzz to it. It's got more people coming in that hadn't been exposed to. They may have dabbled in print, but now they're like, oh my gosh, I can do all this together. It's transforming, I think, what we're doing, and I think Bring United is really helping lead the way there. So.
Yeah. And, I know ASI is going to have a bigger presence this year at the show. And we have the ASI Pavilion. Do you plan to spend a lot of time in that area, or are you going to, explore other areas?
Yeah, well, we're going to do our podcast. We've got a podcast that we also focus on Print on Demand. So we'll be recording that. We're going to be doing some interviews, not quite at the level that Deborah does. We're hoping to get there at some point where she is, but we're going to be doing some interviews with some of the different folks in the market. But we'll be hanging out at the pavilion a lot. We've got a lot of different activations we're doing with some of the different all stars as well. So it's going to be neat. This year, actually, I'm hoping to spend more time walking the show floor. Last year, I just did not get enough. I didn't have enough time to really go out there and walk the show. This year, I'm really excited about doing that, especially now that it's back in Vegas and the halls are going to be next to each other, and we don't have that 30-minute walk detour that we had 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. So you've been to the expo before. So you're a pro. You're an all-star. What is your advice to someone who's listening right now who has never been, or maybe they've been to trade shows but not this one? What's your advice to them for tackling the show?
Well, first of all, sign up, show up, and come ready, because it's the best show I believe right now out there, because you've got no matter what part of the market you sit in, you've got the print, you got promo, you got apparel, you've got AI, you've got technology, you've got equipment. It all is all there. So come ready to meet people, spend time talking to them, engage, be involved, come to all the different events. And yeah, I mean, to me, it's, I'm really pushing the promotional product side of the market this year. I think that's got a lot of growth opportunity. They use print heavily, and we really want them to show up and really jump in and be a part of everything that we're doing.
I'm definitely currently obsessed with branded merchandise, as Josh has redirected
Swag.
me from saying, swag. Exactly. What, besides the usual suspects, a t-shirt, a hat, a lanyard, what are some of the more funky branded merchandise requests you've been getting lately? And that's because I'm somebody who, I really don't want to invest in my phone if I know a new phone is coming out in 3 months or something like that. And I'm not saying about waiting for a new press or something like that. I'm saying that looking at the opportunities of where you want to be able to sell into. So that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I can't really tell you about the product side because I'm not in the promo side of the business. We're adjacent to it. We obviously are helping educate the market. We look at the promotional space as a tremendous amount of green space and opportunities for POD, because they are really far behind when it comes to leveraging POD. I mean, it's about 5% of the total of the overall spend in that $27 billion market. So that's why we're pushing into it, because there's just so much opportunity. So I'm not the guy to talk to you about product there, because that's not what I work on, but I love it. I love when I get really cool stuff. I love when I see stuff. I'm like, oh, that's pretty kick ass. I'll take that.
All right. Well, tell me something cool you've seen lately.
Activations right now are blowing up in the promo side. The experiences, I think for the most part, people want hyper-personalized and premium items. And I think that is actually transcends even in the print side, right? We're seeing more of a premium element. So soft touch finishes, higher quality papers. People want that nicer product. And we're calling it premiumization because the fact that you're not going after a commodity. You're really trying to make sure whatever you're giving them, whether it's a brochure, promo item, giveaway, activation, that's something that's not going to end up in a trash can or a landfill. You want them to use it. I mean, that's the most sustainable way we can actually improve the industry is giving people products that they're actually going to want to use and they keep. And it just doesn't go in a drawer in the trash because then it's not sustainable at all. And so, but activations or experiences right now are blowing up over there.
And I think our next guest, who's going to come on for the last couple minutes, made a bet on Monday or Tuesday saying that you were going to bring up that word.
Must be Jason Tompkins.
Yeah. So he won the bet there. Rusty, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking some time chatting with us, and can't wait to see you on the show floor.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for everything you are doing, and we'll see you all in Vegas. Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Vegas, baby. Hi, Rusty.
All right. We have a few minutes, so let's bring Josh on just to talk really quickly, logistics, what to expect. Josh?
He's good at this now. He's good at talking very quickly about all of this.
Yeah.
Something tells me, is he wearing a Printing United shirt? Let's see.
Of course. There we go. Hey,
Gotta love
Josh.
your team.
3 for 3 this week. I've got the rest of the week planned out too.
Good. Okay, so today's Wide Format Wednesday doesn't have to be wide format specific, but couple minutes. What's the pitch? What to expect at Expo? What are some new things? Why should people be there?
Yeah, I was going to go through the entire list of the 140,000 plus net square feet of wide format exhibits we have, but I don't think we'll have the time to do that.
Can you talk like an auctioneer? Just talk really fast.
Yeah, right. I already do that daily. I get told to slow down. No, I actually coming in and catching some of those things Rusty said. No, Rusty, it wasn't Jason. It was me. That made the bet. But one thing that he mentioned that I think is important is that we are in a different space configuration this year. And the Las Vegas Convention Center has spent a lot of time and money in renovating that space, even since the last time we were there. So I don't think it's something to overlook. It's the fact that we were within eye shot of each other with the halls versus having to go essentially outside over a bridge or around the doors outside to get there. I think that's going to make it a lot more conducive to do what I've now heard several guests throughout the week say is that they want to spend more time on the floor. Seems to be the common theme. So definitely want to remind everybody of that. So still got to bring your walking shoes. It's going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And Amanda's in the chat this day. So Amanda will drop in, registration links for the expo if you've already registered, and information about different initiatives that we have going on. I think we have another minute or so, right, Deb?
We have a minute or so, and then I just want to remind everybody that we need to switch events because LinkedIn only lets you broadcast for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So that's why we've been switching them. So you've got 2 minutes maximum.
Yep.
Closing thoughts is, I would say, just to build on what Rusty was saying, people are into those activations. That's absolutely what you want to check out at the show. We spent a lot of time and effort and investment in trying to make these, more personalized for the segments and more engaging and intimate one-to-one connection type of activations throughout the show floor, because he's absolutely right. That's what people react to. It's what people respond to. And we're very much aware of that. And we've tried to be intentional as we've laid the show floor out and what you'll see, what you'll experience, and how you discover what's next for your business.
Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Aubrey, our amazing producer, has dropped the link for the next 3 hours of Printing United Expo preview week, and we will be back then. Thank you so much, Josh. Always good to see you. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate you. And appreciate Amanda. Thank you guys for helping us with the fire drills today. We'll be back in 5 minutes, everyone.